Alright, what is up, YouTube? Quick live stream again because it has been too long ago. Quickly have to share the stream on a couple of platforms, so give me a minute. Alright, that is that. And right now onto the important part, of course, because we are here to analyze some stocks and I want to pre-plan the Nasdaq. So let me quickly start with looking at the Nasdaq. Let me get rid of this. It's an old play, not relevant anymore. It also has been a while since I made the video on the Nasdaq. I think the last video I made was right around this range or something. Well, after that, something interesting happened. In my last videos, I had this supply in my chart, because this is your last supply slash rejection before taking out all this trend liquidity that we have built up right there. Well, what happened? We rejected every liquidity on these highs, made equals, and from there just started dumping down on this supply zone, indicating we needed more from the lows. Well, what happened? Dumped down, took some nice liquidity from the lows. All the early people that got too bullish are wrecked, and from there we have just been pumping up, and right now we are in the trend liquidity. NFP really helped us on the Friday, I must say. Pumped us into the trend liquidity. From there we already had a small correction. It's just a normal correction, of course, and if you look at where the market stopped, also a pretty nice price point, because if you look to the left, a lot of interaction on this level. As you can see, a lot of highs, a lot of lows collected at this point. And from there, this level, we also bounced up again. So let's get into the local picture for Monday. I think I have to find another playlist because this is just terrible. One second. Let's see if this works. I think that is better. Alright, let's get on with the Nasdaq. We know we are bouncing from a pretty important level right here. Let's get that in the chart. Overall, this is gonna be some rejection, because if we were really bullish, this price point would bring us towards new highs. Well, it failed, so this is just gonna become your breaker block. This one is a bit too big with the wick and everything, but it is this whole zone. You can refine it like this. The wick just makes it a bit ugly. I think it's the NFP wick. Yeah, it is. So this could be a point to reject from and fuel up for some local liquidity that has been built up. But before that, we have to go up first, of course. Right now, we can say that the market is wanting to move up with this quick recovery right here, indicating we are in a market maker buy model. Then in this range, we had really nice manipulation with right here, just getting in buyer after buyer after buyer. At the end, of course, we took out all those early buyers and from there started moving up again. Really nice long play. And what can we expect? Well, until now it is up until proven otherwise. Even though we had this dump down was just a reaction from this liquidity, and of course a way to create new liquidity to trade towards and take out some liquidity from the lows. So we can just expect more upside. And for the rest, we'll have to wait on Asia to form something, because it can do a lot, of course. Can't really gonna predict what Asia is gonna do here in London, so that is something for tomorrow. So let's get into some stocks. I analyzed MicroStrategies a lot the last week, because it's just a clean chart. After taking out this extreme liquidity before your all-time high, you got a rejection, also from this end arc over here. From there we have just been really bearish. We also broke structure towards the downside. And from there we have just been making lower highs, lower lows, lower highs. This was a PY to maybe expect some upside again. Well, it was a small upside, just a reaction, profit taking, etc, etc. And it's a support level, so of course you're gonna get a bounce up, but the first supply touched, immediately we went down again, and making a new lower low. But as you can see in my chart right now, after making this low, we tapped into this. Yeah, it is a demand zone. Of course, there is a demand zone here. It's not a coincidence when there's a really strong level over here. As you can see, a lot of lows and a lot of highs have been collected here. So right now we're also getting a reaction up from here. Can we now expect more upside? Maybe, but is a demand enough to bring us towards new highs? No. We know we need more liquidity. Of course, all this imbalance is liquidity as well. And we created some local liquidity over here with all the people that got too bullish early in this zone. And of course, we had a local. Did we get a local break here? Yeah, on the lower time frame, you had a small break over here. So people start buying as a reaction from that, of course. That is also what you can see. So of course we created some local liquidity that has been taken out. Do I think this is enough for more upside? Probably not. Of course a break of structure can tell us more. On your mid time frame, then this would be your high to break. If you break this, you can maybe expect a higher low and a new higher high. But if you fail to do that and just reject our local supply over here, the next point to look at is this level here, because pretty much triple equals, and of course a big support level with this level. But a really interesting zone for me to get into longs and look for higher time frame and long-term upside even more is this whole box. Because as you can see, before MicroStrategies really blew up, there was a big range to the left here, and after MicroStrategies blew up, we never really got back into this zone. So this is also still a really interesting place to look for longs MicroStrategies. So right here we would have to wait for the local price action to tell us more, if we can maybe expect some more upside, and look for longs, because of course we have been building up a lot of liquidity on the highs with the grind down we have right now. But the local picture will tell us that the oncoming couple of days of the new trading week. And if we're not gonna hold there, the next level to look at is this. Microsoft. A one I like to chart back in the days. The OGs will remember. Around this period we called a lot of bottoms on a lot of stocks. So for all the people that were watching at that time, GG if you played something. For Microsoft, there are a couple of levels I'm looking at. Last week there was this level I was looking at. This was the first level for me to maybe expect some more upside again. Why? Because we took out a pretty important liquidity point over here, and we tapped into this end dog. Maybe it's an end dog. Yeah, it's an end dog, which we used as support earlier. Well, we got a reaction up, of course. It is profit taking, getting in new liquidity at the lows. But what happened? We never got a break of structure. No, came up, just swept the liquidity, and from there started moving down again. Then Friday with the NFP, a lot of stocks and Nasdaq, whatever, got a reaction up. So of course the stocks are gonna react as well. It took out the high once more, but from there, just continuing the trend that has been standing for the last couple of maybe weeks even. Yeah, last couple of weeks, month, and coming down towards more lows. Because we have a lot of liquidity built up here, and a stock is not going to pump forever. It has to cool down at a certain point to fuel up and take more liquidity from the lows. Well, as we all know, Microsoft has been pumping up since end of April, beginning of May. So that is almost 4 months now. It is 4 months even. And it was a big pump of almost 50%. So of course it has to fuel up sometime. On the high time frame, of course we expect more upside on Microsoft. So where can we expect new upside and look for longs again to maybe trade towards new all-time highs? The end of this trend liquidity, this level could be interesting. Also small little market structure before starting with this trend liquidity build below it. So maybe this could be a level. Of course, local confirmations are gonna tell us everything. We don't predict, we react at our PY zones. So first PY zone, the end of this trend liquidity with this small demand zone there. If we can't move up from there, maybe from this big demand zone, it is a pretty strong structure point. Because as you can see, we got a pretty big pump up from here. If you compare it to what normal price action on the Microsoft chart looked like, it was really grindy, slow price action. Right here, sellers stepped in. A lot of early buyers got wrecked over here, and from there we got a strong reaction up, indicating that smart money, big money, people with a lot of money maybe have positioned themselves in here, and then this demand will get respected and we can expect more upside from there. If we fail to hold there, then of course a nice place to look at is your all-time high, which has also become your big breaker block to the left, because at first this would have been your point to reject for new lows. We didn't, and then it's gonna become your breaker block. So if these two levels fail, also we can take out this liquidity here and then move up. But if that all does fail, the last point where I'm looking at is at this breaker block. PY zones for Microsoft. AMD. Once again, the OGs will remember this bottom we called on AMD. It was just a matter of time before it was gonna start taking all the strong liquidity we built up. It was so crazy. Even if you waited patiently for the best confirmation you're ever gonna get with this change of character over here, you could have still netted 60% in profits. Right here, at the end of, yeah, it's pretty much the end of your trend liquidity. We had this equals, and as we know, equals, of course, are a strong magnet for the market. But it also means there's a lot of liquidity being built up here, and the market has a difficult time to take it out. Once again, we couldn't take it out, so right now we have triple equals. So that's a lot of liquidity to take out, so the market needs to fuel up again. Last week, I talked about this local range right here in the Discord. So if you want to be updated on stocks, crypto, the Nasdaq, even Forex, if you want to, you really have to join our Discord channel, because just a bit too much value to be found in there. I will put the link of the Discord channel in the chat real quick. So for the interested people, you can join. It's all free. We don't ask money for anything. It's just a community to talk and trade and chart with like-minded traders. That's the most important thing for us. Let me quickly pick the link. This is it. There we go. So if you're interested in that, of course, you can join our Discord channel. It is linked in the chat right now. I talked about AMD. I talked about this liquidity level to maybe be enough to create new highs, because it is pretty much all your internal liquidity of this local range. Well, obviously it wasn't. From there we have just been continuing our move down, indicating we're gonna need more liquidity from the lows. Well, where is your first liquidity point? It is here, because this is your last pullback that tried to make you bring you towards new highs, apart from the one we already took out. Below that is also pretty strong demand. And if we're gonna fail to hold there, let's look at our next level that can be interesting. Let's zoom out a bit. First thing I see is this. You can even draw it in all the way to here, but let's draw it in from here. A lot of interaction from this level, also below this here. Pretty important liquidity point. Normally I think I would draw in this, but we can make it a bit bigger, because this is your first pullback after having that change of character and really starting to move up towards these highs. I'm gonna just draw in this whole box, then this will be your next level. If we're gonna fail to hold here or here, then this is your next level to look at. But if we look at our structure and our overall trend on AMD, I don't really want price to close below here, because if you look at our structure, this is your last higher low we put in before making this new higher high. What price can do and what would be fine is quickly sweep this and then move up. But I really don't want to see candle closes below this, because then of course the market segment has switched from bullish to bearish, so we can look towards new lows. So yeah, that is my plan on AMD. Meta, I don't know if I have charted Meta. Not really. I see it has created all-time highs. Um, this was your first all-time high. Then we broke above it with a quick sweep. Okay, interesting. Before taking that old all-time high and making the new all-time high, we had this small struggle point over here. Last sellers that tried to push price down. They failed, the buyers took over and brought us towards new all-time highs. So this whole zone is gonna be your demand. As you can see, we bounced from that zone and we created a higher low and a new higher high. So what do we expect right now? A higher low and a new higher high. Right now, it looks like Meta wants to create that higher low over here. I have put in this level. It is a combination of a couple of things. Of course, there's this big gap that you can hold support in. But this is just a last structure pull that we have before creating this new high. As you can see, we tapped into it. And from there, we got a reaction up. If you look at the structure internally, this high brought you towards a new low. So if we want to see the rotation towards a new all-time high, we will have to break this high. Right now it looks like this was enough for the market to test back. Created nice internal liquidity to take out over here and over here. So maybe it has fueled up enough and we can expect and maybe we can see new highs from here. Apple. Okay. Let me zoom out. Oh wow. Beautiful level. Damn. We still expect a new all-time high on Apple, of course, because if we look at the structure, we put in a probably a higher low. Of course, it is not confirmed until we're gonna create a new higher high, but we can expect this is our higher low. If we look at our trend, we still expect a new all-time high on Apple. So then we're gonna look at places where we're gonna step into longs right now. This is a really nice level because you held support on it right here. And after we broke it, we held this as a rejection point for a multiple times. And right now, of course, we can use it as support again. It is just a strong level. But if you look at our structure on a 3-day, you can see higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, sorry, a new higher low, and right now a higher high. So if we look at this structure, even though this is a really nice level to look at, we don't want to see price close below here, because then on the 3-day, yeah, your 3-day structure has switched to bearish and you expect a lower high and a new lower low. So for right now, I want to look at only this part of price action on Apple. And while I'm talking about this, I want to point out one more thing. A range, manipulation, and right here this is gonna look like we are gonna get our expansion. What does this normally mean? A power of 3 for all the people that are familiar with it. A power of 3, so we also have more confluences to go towards the all-time high. So let's zoom in on this part of price action because we expect new highs and we don't want price to close below here. What are levels to look at? Old highs, always nice to bounce from. This can get out of the chart because we have already tested that back. But because we have these equals, It can mean, it doesn't have to, but it can mean we need more liquidity from the lows. So what can also happen, this is just a strong level overhaul. There's your breaker block right here. From there we created new highs. There's not really a clean demand in here, but we just know from the left it is a strong support and resistance level. Every demand is pretty much gone right here. Just a support and resistance level we could look at if we need more liquidity from the lows. Maybe this also is gonna be enough to hold high if we're really aggressive and we don't need more liquidity from the lows. Then of course we can move up from here. That's also a pretty big and walk right here. So that can be your first PY to look at. Otherwise it's gonna probably be this low, quick sweep, tap into this zone, and then a move up. And otherwise it's gonna be looking at this whole box over here. But because we probably are in this power of 3 right here, with the expansion towards the upside expected right now, I want to see aggressive price action on Apple right now, and also I want to see this low get protected because it's just a market structure low. We have been live for over half an hour right now, so if anyone in the stream has a chart request, feel free to ask it, and otherwise I'm just gonna end the stream here. We have analyzed a handful of stocks. We have analyzed the Nasdaq, pretty much pre-planned it. Of course we have to wait on Asia and London to form something we can use. And then this will be it for today. Quick little stream, pre-planned some important stocks I'm just looking at, and then I will see you in the next video or live stream. And that will be it for this one. Ciao.